Hello, hello, everybody. Checking the sound, make sure everything works. Oh my goodness, am I I don't even know how to describe how I'm feeling right now. I'm a little gassed. I think I've used that term before. I'm just a little worn out. Had a day at work today that was pretty darn eventful. As you guys know, I've been covering a local murder trial here in Western Pennsylvania, one that is extremely sad on all sides. Like, it's just everything about it, the victim, his family, the circumstances, the now convicted perpetrator of it. It's all, none of it was good for anyone, and it has been a difficult trial. And yeah, jurors rendered their verdict today, which was kind of surprising to me because it was 4:30 in the afternoon before the judge was done with her instructions and everything, but she sent them back to deliberate, and they did, and rendered a verdict in a little over an hour. So anyway, I had to run home, write a quick report. So thank you all for being so patient with me, because I originally had this live stream scheduled for 7:30, and we had to move it to 8:30 so that I could finish up with my day job. Hopefully, the the trial that I was covering might be something that we might be able to cover on this channel. You guys might see Jeffrey O'Neill in the comments. He was somebody who's related to the victim, and I was talking to him about it, and it really boils down to whether or not the victim's family is up for something like that. Because they didn't ask for any like YouTube coverage. It's not a case that's in the public zeitgeist. So we'll see. We'll see. But for now, we're going to be talking about Maddie, Madeline Soto. And Donna says, Gavin, truly love your channel. You're giving Maddie justice. Thank you, Donna. And welcome. Love that little Canadian flag. So today we are continuing our coverage of the Madeline Soto case. Madeline Soto was 13 years old when she, air quotes, disappeared. She was made to disappear, at least according to police, by her mother's on-again, off-again boyfriend. At that time, it was off-again boyfriend Stephen Stearns. He has been charged in her murder. He has also been charged with SAing little Madeline starting from about the time she was 8 years old. So Madeline was last seen on she was really last seen on the 25th of February, but the official day that she went missing was February 26th. She, her body was found on March 1st. Now, a lot of people have been asking, and myself included, where's Madeline's dad in all this? And of course, we have seen in the documents that, yeah, he lives out of state. He is part of Maddie's life. And it turns out that we've got a recording of an interview that police did with him. He is a guy named Tyler Wallace. I've got a couple photos of Mr. Wallace with little Maddie. Oh my goodness, look at little Maddie there oh my goodness. Look at her cute just cute as a button little self with her little ballerina shirt on, her flowers. She's just an adorable thing and has all of the potential that every little child her age has. And that was just snatched from her, according to police, by this guy who he took, I think, in the most violent way. I think it's worse than murder. He destroyed her from the time she was 8. Let's see that picture again. She is so adorable. He just snatched it from her, and then, according to police, ended her life. Which, just put a punctuation on it, right? Put an exclamation point on it. Here's another photo of Madeline when she's a little bit older with Mr. Wallace and his significant other. I believe, actually, I don't know what their relationship is, if they're married, if they're in a committed domestic partnership. I'm not sure. I probably should know, but that is Mr. Wallace and his significant other with Maddie when she's a little bit older. And again, still, oh, it's a little Batman shirt. She's just so she just has the sweetness that every little girl has. And I might just be a little biased. Kimberly and I, as you guys know, have 5 children. We have 2 sons. We have 3 daughters. I love being a dad. It's probably my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing ever. And being a girl dad is an especially special treat. And yeah, look at her. She had all the potential, all of it. And she was just born into a circumstance that was less than ideal, I think. And I mean, I think that's the understatement of the century, right? It was definitely less than ideal. Tonight we're going to listen to the first part of an interview with Mr. Wallace. The whole interview only lasts about 40 minutes, but I am dividing it into 2 sections. So we'll be covering about 20 minutes of it here. I haven't really done anything as far as, making this audio any better. I just haven't had the time. I had planned on doing that after court today and before the live stream began, but I was not able to do that. What I have done is boosted the volume a little bit. So hopefully it'll be balanced with my speaking voice, and we will be able to go through this together. There are some audio redactions where the volume goes down to nothing. I did not do that. That is just what, how the file came here. This interview was done on the 11th of March of this year. So 10 days after Madeline's little body was finally found by police who had been looking for her since the 26th. So he knows in this interview what has happened to his daughter. And we'll just give it a listen and then chat as we go along. If there's anything that you would like me to read in particular, please put GF in your comment. That does not mean girlfriend. That means Gavin Fish. And I will do my best. I'll at least read it. And man, what a great comment. Texas Patty. It's 7:30 somewhere, Gavin. Yeah. You guys are so patient with me. An hour late, but we got it. We got it going. And the stuff that I was covering in my day job today is super important. So all right, let us begin. I'll just check to make sure you guys can hear the audio as we begin here. Yeah, looks good.
The date is March 11, 2024. The time is 2:02 p.m. It's a reference case number 24001896. Person present are myself, Detective Morris, Detective Smallwood, and we're going to be calling Tyler Wallace, who is the biological father of Madeline Soto. Phone number we're calling him at.
They're just redacting his phone number. They do this by phone.
Hi, is this Tatiana and Tyler?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, appreciate you taking my call this afternoon. So, as you're well aware, I got myself and my partner here, Detective Smallwood. We are working the case in reference to Madeline.
Yes.
All right. So, I know, Tatiana, you're not biologically involved, but Tyler is. So I'm going to ask a majority of my questions. I need him to answer instead of you. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Tyler, can you spell your first and last name for me?
Yes, sir. My first name is Tyler, Tyler.
Okay.
My last name is Wallace, Wallace.
This is just another redaction here.
Address?
My current address is...
Again, redacting his address. This is just going to last a moment here, guys. Thanks, Gail. Yeah, this one just lasts a little. I normally edit these out.
Okay, and your telephone number?
Mooney. That is very kind, Mooney. Thank you.
Got it. Okay. So once again, first of all, I want to express our condolences to you.
Thank you, sir.
I know it's a difficult time for you and everybody else that's involved. So some of these questions may be difficult for you to answer, but I want you to do your best you can, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Tyler, you are Madeline's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I am her biological father.
Okay. When were you and Jennifer together?
Are you asking our physical time or like relationship time?
Yeah, relationship time.
We dated when I was 16. I believe we were together for roughly 3 years. And then we ended up having an encounter in 2009 from which Maddie was born.
Okay.
We were not together at the time. I was with my wife. We were engaged. Well, we weren't engaged yet, but it was around that time.
So they're married.
Okay. Were you
Tatiana's
in Florida
his
here,
wife.
or where were you guys at?
I was, at the time of our dating, so when I was 16 years of age and such, we would have been in Florida around Orlando and Kissimmee.
Okay.
I was living with my parents at the time. She was living with hers. At the time of our second encounter in 2009, I would have been stationed, I believe, in Baltimore, Maryland, doing training, and then in Kings Bay, Georgia Naval Base is where I was stationed for my duty station, and I encountered her there.
Okay. Did she live up there or just come to visit? How did that come about?
She was visiting. Our initial encounter in 2009, she was living in New York with her father at the time. I had just gone through boot camp, and we had connected, I believe, on MySpace. And then she ended up visiting me and a group of my Marines around November, and I only know it was that time because it was around the Marine Corps ball, so I have something to tie it to. I'm actually pretty wishy-washy with time, but that was around the period our encounter would have occurred.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Can you reframe or if I answered that, let me know what...
No, yeah, you're good. So, you guys weren't actually dating at the time she was conceived, is that correct?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. How much involvement have you had in Maddie's life?
I have tried to
Sorry about
maintain
the poor
several
audio.
connections with the mother. I would say prior to the last 2 years, I normally got to see my daughter about once a year. But I was involved in a legal case in which I had to go to prison for 2 months due to some stuff that occurred in the Marine Corps in 2009. The short version of the story there is that I had some friends, in air quotes, who stole ammunition from the government, and then when an investigation came out from that, I was contacted by NCIS. I rendezvoused with them. I provided information, and then due to the nature of the case, I was required to spend 2 months in prison in the Federal Detention Center in Houston, Texas. And I just never financially recovered from that. So it's like it was 2 years since I got to see Maddie, and the last time I saw her was October of last year.
And where were you then? Did you come to Florida or?
She came to Texas.
Maddie was sent to visit us in Texas. She traveled unattended. I received her at the airport.
Okay. How would you describe the relationship between you and Jennifer right now?
I am not contacting Jennifer, and I desire to receive updates outside of the family. All the information I have regarding my daughter has been passed to me through her family, and I just...
But I get that. But what was your guys' relationship leading up to all of this?
I tried to talk with Jennifer as little as possible. There was a period when Maddie was first born that Jennifer seemed pretty intent on breaking up my marriage with my wife, and so in the nature of making everybody happy, I just talked to Jennifer as little as possible, which is why I had so little contact with Maddie growing up. I only just recently started reaching out to Maddie through, like, Skype and stuff, where she was able to, or not Skype, excuse me, what did we use? I think we used, like, Instagram or FaceTime, but we would use, like, video chats and voice chat to start talking, and so I was starting to get a deeper relationship with Maddie, and then this occurred.
Okay. What? So you say you contacted her through social media. What?
I have to say, like, I don't. You never know how you would react, right? You never know how you would react to something like this. In fact, I was thinking about this in court today, because the victim's wife and children, they're grown children, they have children of their own, showed amazing determination and grit. And the 911 call by the family member, she was overcome, and I would say, I would even say maybe hysterical a little bit. However, she did keep her composure well enough to make good choices and listen to the first responders. It was really impressive. Having said that, because I was thinking about that, I was thinking about how I would be on that 911 call, and I juxtaposed that with the way my wife would be. My wife is, she does never panic. She does never panic. She never panics. She never loses her cool. Hardly ever cries. Like when she gave birth to our children, she would cry. That's about it, right? So maybe this guy, Tyler Wallace, he is just of that kind of ilk. He's just gritty and he doesn't lose his composure. But man, 10 days after I found out that I had lost my daughter, even if I had been out of touch with her or in limited touch with her over the course of her life, I think I'd sound a little more blubbery than this guy, a little less with it. I don't know. Everybody reacts differently, so it's hard to judge anything. What does sound like is that Maddie, hey guys, call me traditional here, but I really think that every child deserves to be born into a nuclear family with two parents who love them. I really do. And I know that can't always happen, and that there are children that do not have that nuclear structure and turn out great. Like, I know that. But in this case with Maddie, her parents had an affair and she was born, and dad was stationed in other places, and mom married another guy and, shacked up with another guy and stuff like that. It's just not ideal for Madeline to have grown up in. She deserves way better than that, right? But yeah, I don't know how I would react, but this is not how I would react, I guess, is what I'm saying.
You list yourself on different social media accounts. What is your screen names?
My screen names?
Yeah.
Usually my screen names will all be a variation of my email. I can give you my email, but it's going to be CPTHRDCR. So most of my screen names are like a variation of that with like a 13 behind it. But I have on Facebook, it just says my normal name. I believe Instagram, I come up as like CPTHRDCR13. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm bad at managing all of my social media accounts. I'm locked out of like half of them right now.
Okay.
Honest, this is a great comment. She let her fly to Texas alone, but when cops questioned Jen and Stefan, they made it seem like Maddie couldn't find her way out of a paper bag. Great comment.
All right. All right, so you said you and Jennifer, you haven't had that cordial relationship. So, but you started with...
I would say our relationship has been cordial, but it is a surface level cordialness maintained on our side to guarantee access with Maddie, because I was never able to afford to go to court to get my custodial rights established with her.
Okay.
So it's a financial
thing. You started reaching back out to Maddie last year on a more consistent basis?
Yes, sir. She was coming up on the age of 13, and so the last time I had stayed, when she had visited us in October, I was basically talking to her about how she would feel about coming to live with us in Texas, that was something she would be interested in, and she expressed that she would be interested, but she didn't say why or what. We just kind of left it at that, and it was something I was going to talk to Jennifer about, but just hadn't yet.
Okay. How was Madeline when she come to see you in October?
She seemed to be in very good spirits, but a thing I kept saying was that I don't know if this will make sense to you, but I can give you the context if you need it. She reminded me of a character from a show called Euphoria, in the sense that there was just an emotional weight about her that I did not understand what was the cause. It just seemed like she was dealing with stuff that a 12-year-old girl shouldn't deal with, but I didn't get to see her enough to really pry, and so I was just trying to ask her, like, surface-level comfort questions to build a relationship with her, but I had no clue anything was going on at that time.
Got it. How long was she out there visiting you?
She was with us for 4 days in October.
Okay. Have you talked to her since October?
I had a couple of Instagram communications with her since then. I talked to her, I believe, once or twice on video chat. And I can't remember the exact dates, but I have, just so you know, I have left all of my social media untouched since the search turned into a verification that she was in fact dead, just in case any of my social medias can be useful to you guys.
Okay. At the end, I'm going to give you my email address. If you can just send me screenshots of your conversations with Maddie or any that you may have had with Jennifer.
Yes, let me write that down real quick. Screenshots of conversations with Maddie or Jennifer.
Yeah.
Is there anything in specific you're looking for?
No, just all your conversations. That'd be great.
Say that one more time.
Just all of the conversations you've had with Maddie.
Yeah, got it.
And then if you've had some with Jennifer, those as well.
Roger.
He does have a very military way of speaking, doesn't he?
So how did you come about to hear what happened with Maddie?
It was, hold on, let me pull up my phone so I can find the exact day. 1 second.
This is be broken up, man. Guys, but you can't judge, you really can't judge people by how they sound in interviews. Well, it's hard to judge. Let's put it that way. It's hard to judge. You can. It's just like when we were looking at the videos of Stefan's interviews and Jen's interview. Yeah, I mean, I think that we can make some pretty sound judgments there, but it is really tough. I was talking with an old friend just a couple nights ago, and we were talking about our childhood, and we were talking about the happy times and the sad times, and I was thinking about. Well, we were talking about when our friend died. We were all 14 years old. Nate was, I shouldn't have said that. He was a little bit older than us. He was about to turn 15. But like all of these years later, since then, it's now, coming up on, goodness, 35 years. Can't even believe that. I still have a hard time talking about it, but when I talk to his parents about it, they are resolute and strong. So I can't say that I'm more sad about that than his parents. They lost their son, right? So I guess I'm just saying that the way Mr. Wallace speaks is a little off-putting to me, but I don't know that it means anything as far as his grief and that sort of stuff, I guess. I mean, of course, we know that he wasn't involved in this. He's in Texas, right? Beyond just, actually, maybe that is the fault, is that he was not involved. But he might have very good reasons why he wasn't involved, I guess.
Monday, February 26th. Or possibly, it was either the 25th or the 26th. I had just worked a shift in Cypress, Texas, at my place of employment, which is Imperial vapor company, and the time on deck was around 4 or 5. The time on deck when I received the call was around 4 or 5 p.m. Interrupted. Jennifer called me and said that she had been informed by the school that Maddie never arrived at the school that day. And I asked Jennifer what she knew at that moment. She seemed distressed, but I told her, because she was trying to give me a bunch of stories about who had taken who where, and I said, I don't care about details right now. I need to know what you know. Where is Maddie? She did not know. And I said, how long has she been missing? And she said, since this morning. And then I said, okay, I need you to get in contact with the police department if you haven't already, and I would like you to continue to update me. And then she said, okay.
Let me pause here for a second. This comment from Virgie. Haven't cried in a bit on this case, but picture of little Maddie, approximately 3 years old, with her dad just broke me. So beautifully innocent. Yeah. Look at her. Just look at her. And that's her little ballerina t-shirt. Too cute is what it says. Yeah, that you're right. It is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. This is about the age that our youngest daughter was when we moved here to Western Pennsylvania. And we live in a house that has this kind of, it's like a grand staircase, and we took pictures of all the kids on it, and she's like this little thing. She's barefoot with her little chubby toes, digging into the carpet. And I can feel the feels of what I feel for our youngest daughter in that moment, right? So cute, so unaware of the world, and so happy, and just so much potential. And here's Maddie, just like that, hand around her daddy's neck. Yeah, that is a heartbreaking photograph.
And then she had mentioned that it was her birthday, and then when Jennifer and I were talking, I had started to mention the statistics of things like sex trafficking in Florida. I know that Houston and Florida are high on sex trafficking, so I was throwing out scenarios of what we should be looking for. Did somebody grab Maddie? Was there videos out there? Could we see footage? And
having to think about that about your daughter.
I believe writing some of this down. I don't know, but she was trying to. It appeared she was giving me whatever details she could. But then,
I'll come back to this one, Pauline.
After that, I went home and waited with my wife. I let my wife know Maddie was missing. We started making some social media posts to spread the word. And then on about day 2 or day 3, I just couldn't wait anymore. In Texas, I felt really hopeless. And so I let Tati know that I was going to drive down to Orlando, Florida, which I did. I drove to Orlando, Florida, and I'm not sure which day I drove down. It was the 3rd day after I found out, though. And I stayed with my friend, Lynn Bradshaw, who is like a lifelong friend of mine. He lives about 20 minutes away from the area where Maddie was taken. I can pause now if you have any questions, or I can keep going.
No, you keep going.
Fresh in my mind, though.
Yeah, keep going.
So at the time when I arrived at Lynn's, my initial first thought was, I'm going to fucking go out to the last known GPS location. Jennifer had sent me like a pin or a GPS location of where Maddie's disappearance would happen. And at that point, I had Lynn and I had basically discussed...
You know what just occurred to me? This guy... You guys think from the tone of my voice I'm about to insult him. I'm not. This guy, from the moment he found out that Maddie was missing, he started to think about what are the possibilities. Like, he's a grown man. He knows what the world has to offer little girls, right? Who aren't protected by their mom, their stepdad, or whatever. He knows. He's seen the world. He's been in the military. He's seen this stuff. What does he do? He starts to make social media posts. He's trying to help find his daughter, try to figure out what happened. He's getting as much information as he can. And on the 3rd day, he drives from Texas to Florida, stays with a friend, and is going out toward the last known place where she was. He's going to do his own investigation. And you know what? everything that I just said is a reasonable and expected reaction of a father whose daughter has disappeared. Now, conversely, this woman took sleeping pills and went to sleep. Just, got up, got into a hotel and took sleeping pills, took her medication and went to sleep. And I I guess that comparison is striking how different the reactions are. And it just reinforces to me that I think Jen knew. And I think that while I don't necessarily think that she participated in the strangulation event that killed her daughter, I think that she offered her daughter up to a predator, right? And when something bad happened, she was like, "Oh, well, yeah, I guess that happened." I mean, she was shown pictures of Maddie being orally violated, and didn't call it evil, didn't call it the R word. She's just like, yeah, that she defended Stefan at that point. The inverse of that is this guy making posts on social media, taking his mind to exactly where every father does not want to go, ever. Trying to figure out what happened and then acting, getting in the car, driving. For those of you who are outside of the United States, let's say outside of North America, and don't understand, that is a freaking long way. It is a long way. I don't know where he is in Texas. Let's say Houston. Let's say Houston, Texas. I don't know. I was just pulling. Or let's say Dallas. Dallas, Texas to Kissimmee, Florida. Kissimmee. I'll show you guys this. Let me make sure we're good here. That is a 16-hour drive or a 17-hour drive through 4 states. That is a hike to go from Dallas to Kissimmee. And even if he was clear on the edge of Texas, or maybe he's in Houston, it's still a hike, right? But that he was like, yeah, I got to do that because I got to find my daughter. And that is the reasonable reaction to what happened to her. Not I think I will take some sleeping pills. This woman, I think I'll take some sleeping pills and I'll go to sleep. And hopefully they'll find Maddie. But maybe let's get Stefan a lawyer. Okay, let me continue here.
The pros and cons of going to look for myself, the pros being that it would make it feel like I was doing something, the cons being that I really had no idea what I was looking for, and then that's when we started seeing Twitter posts from the Kissimmee and various police departments saying, please do not engage in any public searching, we are currently working on this. And so I feel like I just knew in my heart that shit was going bad.
I'll come back.
I was staying with Lynn to help me kind of keep my emotions in check and just watching social media, refreshing every so often to see if any news articles had come out. A bunch of my friends flew in from out of town, so I was visited by Josh Losey, who flew in from Indiana. He's been friends with me as long as Lynn. I was visited by my friend Stephanie Elaine Ashley, who flew in from Seattle. They both stayed with me for a couple of days at Lynn's place. And then they flew out. And then my wife, Tatiana, flew in. I'm losing, at this point, I lose track of which days or when because it just all kind of blends together. But I took notes. So if you need specific dates of when I was interacting with people, I should be able to dig that up. It's not off the top of my head.
Okay.
So
did you have any
I believe it was the night I arrived at Florida that Lynn and I got confirmation that
this is just a
and that he had been arrested and that there was sexual abuse tied into this whole thing.
And how did you hear that?
I honestly can't remember when I finally I had been trying to not listen to the news, so I'm not sure when I actually finally concluded that Maddie was dead. I can't remember if it was reading an article or if I had gotten a call. Maybe you called me. I don't really remember who told me. I just remember kind of the day that it happened.
Okay, how did you hear the news about him being arrested? Did Jennifer tell you, or did you see it on the news?
I was informed of Stefan being arrested by Tati. Who told you?
And then the news told me.
Okay.
Press conference.
All right. When you were here, did you and Jennifer see each other?
The only time I saw Jennifer was when I made an appearance for, I'm not sure if it was an official funeral, but I have pictures from the location and the name of the funeral house. It was a funeral house. They say that Maddie is going to be cremated in the next couple of weeks, but there was a closed casket that Jennifer's family was there, and I arrived with my separate party. I believe all interactions between me and Jennifer happened on a camera in the main thing of the funeral home. I did not speak with her anywhere else but in the funeral home. I hugged a few of her family members, and
This sounds like he's got long experience dealing with Jennifer, and it's difficult. That's what it seems like. I only talked to her at the funeral home, only in a place where a camera was pointed there. Right? It sure sounds like he's been having a hard time with Jennifer.
Her at one point, but we shared very few words, and I was not a big fan of the hug. It was more for social purposes. But
yeah, I mean, in all honesty, our main focus right now is Maddie. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Not the relationship you and Jennifer have or have not had or whatever. That's
acknowledged.
So
Acknowledged.
I don't know if some of these questions are difficult because Tatiana is listening or whatever, but I don't want like I said, our main focus right now is Maddie.
Thanks, guys.
So yes, sir. The hardest thing has already happened, which is she's dead, and I am not okay with that. But for the purpose of cooperation and for the purpose of your investigation, I'm willing to go through emotional pain to get there. So just please continue asking what you need, and I will keep you apprised of my emotional condition.
No, I appreciate it.
You know what that sounded like? Thanks, guys, for telling me about the Houston thing. That sounds a lot like I've had these conversations with like Sandy and Josh Greenberg, where I would go, I'm very sorry to ask you this question, but I was curious about such and such. And they both have always just said, ask your question. We'll answer your question. And never once in the 2 or 3 years, I think that I have been talking with and interviewing and interacting with Josh and Sandy Greenberg, have they ever broken down? And you know what they tell me? It's because they can't allow themselves to mourn yet, because the justice isn't there yet. So maybe he is in the beginning stages of this as well. Like, justice hasn't been served. I'm going to put my emotions away, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to answer every question you have. Maybe that's what's happening with Mr. Wallace right here.
Okay, did you and Jennifer talk about what may or may not have happened to Maddie?
Only on the initial phone call, when I threw out a couple of scenarios trying to figure out where to even start looking for myself. After that phone call was pretty much minimized between me and Jennifer. I know at some point she had her phone taken and contacted me through an alternate phone number to provide me information of where, like, the funeral home was. So I was in text communication with her infrequently throughout my stay in Orlando for, like, stuff like that. I have attempted to comfort her before I realized that Maddie was dead, but I don't think I was in Florida. That was over the phone when I was like, hey, this isn't your fault, that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
But it's one of those things where as more and more information comes out between you and me, I'm becoming aware. I don't know what Jennifer did or didn't know. I don't know if she was aware of this happening or not. And the context of if she knew and was enabling, or if she is as much of a victim as Maddie, will dictate how comfortable I am having any frankly, I'm not interested in contacting her family ever again anyways. But, like, It's one of those, if Jennifer is much as a victim of this as I am, I'm content to just let them live their life in privacy. But I swear to fucking God, if I find out Jennifer was involved and enabled this, I will take whatever legal action I can.
Okay.
Wow. That's a good place to stop, guys. Wow, he finally just showed a little of emotion. He doesn't know. Was Jen involved in this? As of the 11th of March, was Jen involved in this? Or was she just as much a victim of Stephen Stearns as Maddie? And actually what a mature and grown up thing to say is like, if that is the case, then I will be content to let them live their lives. But if not, and I was thinking he was going to go somewhere like, going to kill him, or I'm going to attack, I'm going to do something, right? But he said, nope, I will use all legal remedies or something like that, which was pretty darn mature. Like wow. Like I'm actually pretty darn impressed with that. Let's see, Shorty, you said, if Maddie's father was more involved in her life, I don't think it would have happened. Just my opinion. Yeah. I mean, if he was involved in her life and they had that relationship of trust built better, right? Because he talked earlier about how he was trying to build that to be able to ask the hard questions. So had he had that relationship built, yeah, maybe he could have seen it happening in real time and done something about it. It's possible. Zach says the detective made an error by allowing Tatiana to be part of that conversation. I don't know. I don't know if he held back. Didn't feel like he held back very much. Though, I mean, there would have to be something, because it does turn out that he was together with Tatiana when he impregnated Jen with Maddie. Gavin, it sounds like his wife makes it difficult for him to communicate. Okay, you guys are picking up more on it than I am. Deb L says, I'm a mother of 2 grown sons and I would still give my life for them. A mother knows when something is up with her children. Jen knew exactly what was happening. I tend to agree with what you just said there, Deb L. Ruby says, Jen Soto seems like a box of crazy mishaps. That box of crazy mishaps, that is a really good description. And also, you should write a children's book titled A Box of Crazy Mishaps. It will be a bestseller. That is really good. Content Angel says, yeah, okay, he's on the anger stage, which explains his lack of emotion. Yeah. Oh, yes, he could sue Jen for wrongful death. The question is, what would he get out of it, right? Remember, I've shared with you guys before the whole conversation I've had with an attorney once when I was all up in arms and ready to go after somebody for something that they had done. And his first question was, how much justice can you afford? Right? You have to consider those things when you're deciding whether to use legal remedies to go after somebody. It's going to cost you a lot to do it. And what are you going to get out of it? Now, maybe getting out of it the fact that she is held responsible for the death of her daughter, let's say if it came to that, maybe that is enough, right? Maybe that's enough. And maybe it's worth whatever price. But he could do that. That's true. Angie says, let's call them predators look for kids without strong father figures in their lives. Yeah. Oh, Jamie thanks Autumn because Autumn's awesome. Kim, good to see you. Gavin, maybe she asked her to listen because maybe he last asked her to listen because in his grief, he would not be able to remember details. Yeah, and he did ask her for some input on that, which is pretty good. Good call there, Kim. Gavin, Jen was parenting while intoxicated, which could explain much. Yeah, and I think that she honestly was having a mental health crisis. I do. I don't think it excuses anything, but I think she did. Patty, Gavin, there are some great lawyers in Houston. This is the first time I've had hope for Maddie. Tyler is showing a great deal of self-control. Yeah, and you know what, guys? That is what it takes. When you perceive that somebody has wronged you, at least in my experience, for me, speaking for me, the quick response is just very quick anger for me. I I throw on a full temper tantrum on these things. But the people who actually accomplish things don't let that get in their way. They might have that stage of wanting to throw chairs and stuff like that, but I think Mr. Wallace is showing real restraint and is doing a good job. Great, great observation there, Patty. Jeffrey, thanks for the shout out early on. Jeffrey, it was my pleasure to meet you and your family. And I hope that while we will have met under maybe the worst circumstances, hopefully this is a friendship that can continue on, because I really am impressed with you and the entire family. I won't mention their name here for their own privacy, but I'm impressed with all of them. Deanna says, Gavin, he could sue Jen and her father as the owner of the townhouse. Yeah, possible. Yeah, it depends on what mechanisms or what do you call that? If he has any type of shielding using any type of corporations or something like that, but he could, and that might be enough to hurt him enough to take it seriously. Casey says he was a summer away from having that relationship with Maddie, and no, his wife loved Maddie. He even says that during the interview. JS was the stop in his relationship with Maddie. Yeah, good comment. PJ stating the obvious, but a statement that needs to be made. Autumn and Jamie are amazing. There are a couple of other ones that I starred. Content Angel asking why he was in federal prison. Now, I've listened to the whole interview, and we're going to listen to the rest of it tomorrow. I've listened to the whole interview. He doesn't say specifically why. I don't know if he had a conviction or if maybe he was just imprisoned for protection. I don't even know. I just know that what he said was he was in prison. It'd be federal because it is the Marine Corps. Pauline Buckles, I think what we want to know is, did Maddie say anything to him about her home life? It did seem to me that she was starting to, like, he recognized that she had the weight of the world on her shoulders, and he was starting to build that relationship. But no, I don't think that he knew yet. Jill. Gavin, was Maddie awake in any of the CSAM photos, or were they all taken while she appeared to be asleep? I don't think that detail has been released. If it has, you guys correct me. But I don't think so. I personally, because of the relationship that Maddie appears to have thought she had with Stefan, I feel like she probably had Stockholm syndrome of some sort. And to me, that indicates that she was awake. But I don't know. It's just a guess. You guys are awesome. It is 9:18 here in the East. We've been going for 48 minutes, and I have to say, I am exhausted. So I am going to call it a night. I know this is a little earlier than we normally do as far as the length, but I also know that we're a little bit later than we normally are. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow, because the trial is over, I won't be having to commute all the way out to that county, and I won't. Basically, what I'm saying is tomorrow we should start right at 7:30, barring any like crazy something happening. So tomorrow we finish off this interview with Mr. Wallace, the last half of it, and we will do that at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Before we go, let me just remind you to head on over to the website. There's a link in the description below. You can see Maddie's case page. It has all sorts of stuff. I need to add a lot more videos that I've done, but it's got all sorts of stuff. Some of it is reserved, full access to some of it is reserved for my patrons, but a lot of it, including photography and so forth, is available to all. If you need to contact me, go ahead and click on this little contact button. You can do so anonymously if you want. If you click on the little support button and scroll down to the bottom, you can see buy mods a coffee. That, Jamie and Autumn, as you guys mentioned, are awesome. Who wrote that? Where are they? I think it just so much has come in. There we are. Autumn and Jamie are awesome. One way that you can express your appreciation is to buy them a coffee, and you do that by clicking that button. Last thing, if you click this little fishy up here in the corner, it'll turn yellow as you hover over it. That will take you to the fish tank. We're like 2,400 members, everybody, over here on the fish tank, and we talk about all things true crime. I'd love it if you are on Facebook if you would join us over there. I think now that this trial is over, I'm going to have time to work on a blog post about Kirby Carpenter. So keep an eye on that and subscribe to the Crime Cod newsletter, because that is how I will alert you that the blog post has been done. And I don't spam. I don't sell the list. And you can unsubscribe really easy. If that's your thing, I invite you to do that. With that, guys, I shall bid you adieu. I will see you tomorrow. Until then, I hope you have a great night. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.